The technology is just fine. It's great and only getting better. In fact, AI today, this very second, the three of us are talking, is the worst it's ever going to be. Tomorrow,
That's
it's
fair.
going to be better. The challenge has been for us is the technology is improving exponentially. Us humans, the way we work, the way we approach and tackle problems is only sort of improving linearly. It's a little bit like our washing machines at home. They have 57 programs and we use hot and cold. Make sure you have the tools to give people to use, but how do you take the horse to water and get it to drink? How do you actually incentivize, inspire, and actually create the things where they want to lean in and use these technologies, even when they're not perfect?
Hello and welcome. You're listening to Marketing Matters on the Wharton Podcast Network. This is our weekly podcast where we analyze the latest in advertising, marketing, customer behavior, new product launches, retailing, branding, anything marketing. I'm Barbara Kahn, the Patty and J.H. Baker Professor of Marketing, and I'm joined by my co-host, Americus Reed, the Whitney M. Young Jr. Professor of Marketing and the Brand Identity Theorist. And today, we are very lucky to be joined by Joshua Spanier, who's the Vice President of AI and Marketing Strategy at Google. I'm sure everybody's heard of Google. That's the global tech company that shapes the future of marketing through AI, data, and large-scale digital platforms like Search, YouTube, and Pixel. Joshua is a senior marketing executive at Google, and he spent over 14 years there and overseeing more than $40 billion in marketing spend. As vice president, he has led the integration of AI across global marketing operations, and he founded Google's Central Measurement and Analytics function, which I'm sure he's using to demonstrate the impact of all that money he's spending in marketing. Pretty sure that's the point of it. Anyway, Joshua, welcome to our show.
Hi, Joshua.
Hey guys, great to be here. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Of course.
So you've been at Google for 14 years. Have you seen a lot of change or?
That's a loaded question, Barbara.
I'm a very loyal guy. I've been married to the same woman since I've been with the same woman since my college sweetheart since we were 21, and continue to this day. And of course, I'm only 34 right now, but massaging those numbers down.
Yes.
I've worked at 3 companies in my life, and Google has been the longest of my career. It's almost 15 years now, and
Wow.
time has flown by, and feel like I've had at least a sort of sidecar or a motorbike to some really big, important moments in the technology space and the marketing space. I won't pretend, I'm a marketer and Google's an engineering company, right? We build products which change the world for sure. But as a marketer, being close to that is really fun. And I've seen a lot of cool stuff.
Love that. I want to jump in, Barbara. Apologies. I have to get this point out here while I still remember it. Joshua, thank you for that intro. It's amazing. I want you to start with your point of view on AI. It's everywhere. Are we hyped? Are we overhyping it? Like, give me your point of view, your perspective in terms, and we're going to get into this in a much deeper way when Barbara starts asking her very pointed questions. But I want you to lay the context for me, because as a person who is like learning about all these things and feeling overwhelmed, give me your point of view, broadly speaking, about how we as a society should be thinking about artificial intelligence.
So I'm speaking to you as a marketer, and I'm speaking to you from my personal view here because I'm not representing the entire company's view on what AI is. That mention of the word overwhelm is pretty accurate. I'm very overwhelmed as a marketer. Right? I work at Google. We have resources. We have some of the smartest, brightest people in the world. We have the most amazing AI technology, and it's overwhelming for me. I can't imagine how it is for everyone out there in the world, right? It's just a huge amount of change. I think 2 things can be true at once, though. It is a massive fundamental shift in the way the world is going to work at the broadest level and down to every part of marketing. And human beings are human beings. We crave companionship, we crave connection, we all want good Wi-Fi, We just want to be able to live our lives and do so as humans. And so the transition moment we're sort of in, yes, AI has changed everything, but we still want stories. We still want entertainment. We still want connection. We still want love. That doesn't change. And AI ultimately is a tool. It's a tool to enable better marketing. It's a tool to create new businesses. It's a tool to do all sorts of things. But us humans still want those core things. That's not changing even in a world with AI.
Yeah, I want to add to that because that's definitely the way I've started to think about it myself. It's like if you think about AI replacing humans, et cetera, and all these things that people are afraid of, you got to go down to the basic core. And it's like, well, what do
Mm,
humans want from life? Like I think
mm,
about the big principle of Marketing 101 that we teach in our core courses is the principle of customer value. So you kind of have to figure out what is it the customers want, give all the rest of the stuff to AI to do, and then
mhm.
just kind of figure out how we can make the world a better place. So
Can
how
I?
do you decide what customer
Yes.
value is?
And before you answer that, how you decide what customer value is from Barbara, I just want to say, guys, thank you very much for that wonderful, very humane opening. Joshua, your voice, by the way, your accent is soothing me. It's calming me down because Barbara, I'm panicked. I don't know what's going on, but I do. Talk about this customer value
So, so,
orientation that Barbara's pointing us to.
so
Which I just
I'm
asked.
I, I'm going to answer that question in just a second. But first, I want to give a little bit of wider context as I see it. I've spent 15 years at Google, near enough. I spent the last 3 years as part of the core team helping the Google marketing organization embrace this AI moment. I could talk a lot about the things which have worked and which haven't worked. And what I'm seeing right now is that we're sort of at the end of the beginning. We're at the end of the beginning of this AI transformation. And that first era, the first 3 years of this AI moment, really has been defined, as I see it, by honestly fear, uncertainty, and efficiency. It's been about how can I do more for less? How can I get more for less? And that fear the word you mentioned, letting people go and having AI replace humans was like being the talk of the town, I guess, and the fear for the last 3 years. And what I'm seeing from smart CMOs and what I'm seeing from smart marketing leaders and business leaders now is the notion of actually AI can actually rethink and redo ways of working in its entirety. It's not about just making us 20, 30, 40% more efficient from the ways we used to work. It's what can we build with AI going forward? And so the way I'd articulate this is everyone inside of Google Marketing is a genius, frankly. They're all these Harvard, Stanford, Oxford, MIT, and
Wharton. Sorry.
Wharton ge- geniuses, 100%, right? But they're a little bit like Tony Stark out of the Marvel movies, right? Tony Stark is a genius. You put Tony Stark into an Iron Man suit, he becomes a superhero. And what I'm seeing and what we're really exploring is how if we can give our teams, our geniuses, the equivalent of an AI Iron Man suit, they can multiply their impact. They can actually do things they've never done before. And the whole conversation shifts from one of fear and uncertainty to impact and opportunity. And that's been the really exciting thing, focusing
So
on the impact we can have.
So that's one point of view, which is this idea that it's a tool, it should augment, it should make humans who are good at things better at those things, and
Yep.
the AI provides that tool. But another way of looking at it, which is kind of what I was trying to get at also with that question, is aren't there some things that humans want to do and some things that they want to pass off to AI to do better? And have you given any thought to that notion of like what are things that humans want to do? Like I would rather associate with another human probably than with an AI. I think that's the case with an AI companion or something like that. Or have you given any thought to that notion? What is inherently human value? And what are things that AI could be offloaded on and we don't ever have to worry about again?
We'll see. Barbara, I see the professor coming out because you're operating at a theoretical, philosophical level, which may be beyond me. Here's what I will say. Inside of Google Marketing, we have done for a decade and a half surveys of what are you working on? Where are you spending the most amount of your time? What are your deepest frustrations? We have this thing called Google Geist where we collect every year and then every week now we have these surveys go out and we try to identify where our marketers are frustrated. And one of the things we've been looking at is where AI can solve with some of those frustrations and those pain points. And as a broad general rule, I'll use very broad numbers. This isn't Google, this is for life. 30% of, or 33% of what you do in your life you love, 33% you hate, right? Filling out your taxes. And there's 33% in the middle, which is like indeterminate. I just got to get it done. It's not terrible. It's not the worst, right? What we are trying to
That's a pretty
do
good
is,
summary.
but what we're constantly trying to do at the management level is like, how do we move people out of that bottom third into the middle third and then into the top third, right? And what we see is
That's
so much
interesting.
of what we do in marketing, media authorization forms, purchase requests, compliance tasks, trafficking, resizing, transcreation. These are tasks which no one went to Wharton to actually learn how to do well because they're bureaucracy. They're not fun. They're boring, right?
Mhm.
It's a little bit like, and I'm not a huge car person, but a few people lament the passing of the manual gear stick, but for the majority of us, the
Yes.
Audi's
Secret.
Tiptronic gear changing system is better than we could do it, and it makes driving more fun. That's what we're seeing with AI. And so our focus is really on
Interesting.
reduce the friction, reduce the frustration, and actually unleash the human creativity and ingenuity on the things which actually matter to our marketers. So we 100% see our marketers saying, I would love never have to, I'm going to date myself. Back in the day, I was a TV buyer, and I used to send faxes when I lived in the UK, growing up in London, to the ITV and Channel 4 and Channel 5 saying, these are the schedules of spots we wanted. And I lived by the fax machine. Once that went away, my life was much better. We're seeing that again and again and again. Help people do the things they actually are passionate about and engaged about and can make better. That's where AI is really helping us actually do some fun things. Can I give you an
So
example?
then,
Can I give you an example of something we did creatively, which I think is really fun? I feel like a lot of the AI conversation gets quite theoretical. So this is actually close to 2 years ago. So this isn't a brand new thing, but we have our Pixel phone, which is our cell phone. Obviously, there's iPhone. And we have a fun running campaign on YouTube where the Pixel and iPhone go on humorous adventures together. They travel the world, they do things. We got our creative teams in a room. We got our social teams and digital teams in a room. We did it on a Friday and a Saturday. They agreed to do it on the Saturday. And we asked people on social media, where should Pixel and iPhone go on an adventure? Right? People sent us their ideas, and then using generative AI, using Google's Nano Banana, VO, and those capabilities, we made 300 customized adventures of Pixel and iPhone going in the world. And we sent them back to each one of those people who had requested for it. Those people have both been pre-vetted, but also had a significant following. If you receive 2 hours after asking for it, you get a customized video from Google saying, here's how Pixel and iPhone are interacted, living on YouTube. It's fun, and they shared it. And the reason I talk about this is it changes the dynamic. It's not fear of Google or it's not fear of technology replacing your job. It's, I can make something that was impossible previously. That's the exciting part. And our teams, when they can see they can be more creative, have more imagination, can do more things, it's super fun. And it's been really exciting seeing that. And that's what we been striving to. How do we help our teams embrace this notion, this opportunity that AI can help me do things that I previously couldn't in fun ways and drives business outcomes?
that's a very
I
good
love that point.
example of
It's a great
creativity. I
example.
like that because that's what I was
Me
going to
too.
ask. How do you keep creativity instead of getting AI smush? Like when I have people, my students send in essays that they've written with AI, you can tell,
Yeah.
there really
Yeah.
is this kind of smushiness to it,
Yeah.
this bland
Yeah.
flatness to it. But if you
Yeah.
start with the creative human and then augment that, if you start with that as a point of view, I
Yeah.
can see how you can kind of get around.
Yeah. And to your point, Barbara, the research that's coming out of Wharton right now is very clear on this point that sort of, to your point, Barbara, the idea of kind of mindlessly using these tools produces things with very little diversity of creativity and thought,
Yep.
right? Obviously, because it's coming from the same inputs. So looking for ways to unlock the human potential is a beautiful concept, and really trying to think about it that way as opposed to just a pure utilitarian argument around trying to be 5x productive on the joyless things that you do.
Let me build on this though, because I My title is VP of AI and Marketing Strategy, whatever that means, right? I
I was
can't.
going to ask you.
I
Yes.
can't.
I
I
love
can.
that title, by the way.
Look, for the last 3 years, I've been helping Google Marketing transition and embrace these AI tools. And the single biggest learning that we have had, is the technology is just fine. It's great and only getting better. In fact, AI today, this very second, the three of us are talking, is the worst it's ever going to be. By tomorrow,
That's
it's going
fair.
to be better. In
That's a
6
good
months, it'll
point.
be amazingly better. In a
It's a
year, it'll be
fantastic point.
exponentially better. The challenge has been for us is the technology is improving exponentially. Us humans, the way we work, the way we approach and tackle problems is only sort of improving linearly. It's a little bit like our washing machines at home, right? They have 57 programs and we use hot and cold, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So everything that I've been
On
doing,
and off, even worse.
yes, everything, not everything, but a lot of what I've been doing is, yes, make sure you have the tools to give people to use, but how do you take the horse to water and get it to drink? How do you actually incentivize, inspire, and actually create the things where they want to lean in and use these technologies, even when they're not perfect? And that's a critical piece of this. And one of the mindset shifts is, we've all had that experience. We use an AI tool. It's not great the first time you use it. So you go, I'll come back in 6 months. But if you don't use it for 6 months, by the time that 6 months rolls around and you come look at it again, someone else who's been practicing, even with the imperfect tool, has got so much stronger and better at it. So go on.
Can I ask you a pedestrian question about this? Like, I've been talking to a lot of students and young people, and they really embrace AI. I mean, they just have no problem thinking creatively and asking them all sorts of questions that it shocks me that they would think of to ask a tool. And to your point, if they come out with that human face on it, then the AI answer is, augmenting what they're inputting, which I think is a nice way to think about how to keep the creativity alive. And I don't know if you're prepared to ask, so if you want to deflect this question, that's fine if you don't want to answer this. But one of the questions people ask me is, like, as we more and more accept these AI tools, how are we going to choose which AI tool to use, or how are we differentiating among the different choices we have? And clearly, this is where we're going to start spending money. You get addicted to an AI tool.
100%.
Maybe it's free now, but you're going to pay for it eventually.
Right. Or it may just disappear. Right.
Which one, or is there a differentiation in the market? I mean, can you give us some structure on that?
Yeah.
So we spend within Google Marketing significant effort and resources trying to get people to embrace and use Gemini and the suite of models we have within Google, from Nano Banana and VO and Flow and all the other Notebook LM. These are remarkable tools. I do think this may be one of the largest marketing challenges of the next 2 or 3 or 4 years, because at a certain point, the technology is like magic, but it comes indistinguishable. But I would argue that car marketing, like, what is the difference truly between a BMW, a Lexus, and a Mercedes? And yet those brands do spend a lot of money and actually do find a way to articulate that. So it's on me and on us, Google Marketing, to help define the Gemini suite of tools such that you believe in what they do and what they have. There are certain capabilities. We had a moment with Nano Banana, our image generation technology, where it effectively went viral. We had billions of hundreds of millions of assets of generative assets be made with Nano Banana in a very short period of time. You do have breakout moments with these tools which can help set the stage, as it were, and get people using them. But what you're identifying, Barbara, is a long-term marketing, I don't want to say the word war, but it's going to be a grind, because we get used to ways of working and then we sort of stick with them.
I want to ask a question to build on Barbara's point here, Joshua. I love that point. I'm struggling and overwhelmed, but then things happen in the marketplace. For example, Sora just disappears suddenly. And it's like the marketplace is recalibrating and shifting and all of that stuff. What is, and maybe what I'm hearing you say is that this is going to eventually end up being a winner take most type of market. And if that's true, like, what is Google doing to help us as consumers perceive more value in terms of interacting with Google products? And how are we going to, how are you guys going to help us along this journey? And that's question number one. Question number two, I want to get your reaction to this too, Barbara. Give me your thoughts, Joshua, on the regulatory implications here. right? So you were mentioning early on, because it made me laugh because it's like, yeah, I remember when I first jumped on these tools and I would create pictures of myself with 6 fingers. And suddenly now I almost can't tell the difference between these incredible tools, which reaches a point where at some point there has to be some rules around this that come from somewhere. So can you talk a little bit about, in addition to Barbara's question, can you talk a little bit about like your point of view on how you help us as consumers, bring us along on this journey, but also establish for us parameters of how these things should and or should not be used?
I don't know that it's a winner takes most at this stage. I think the creativity is in the AI space around the world is truly remarkable. And the way I articulate this is, back in the day, we all used to carry around those little HP and Kodak point and shoot cameras, right? The digital cameras, and we thought they were great, and they were great. And then the cell phone camera got good enough that all of a sudden you didn't need this, and that was the challenging for HP and Kodak in that moment. However, the Cambrian explosion of creativity in business, out of that, out of the cell phone camera, you had Uber, you had Google Lens, you had Snapchat, you've had DoorDash, you've had all these myriad and myriad and myriad of businesses emerge out of the cell phone camera being good enough. I think we are at the Cambrian explosion phase of AI. So I think the winner takes most is a misnomer, because
Okay,
the explosion is gonna happen. That's what I think. That's my general theory.
I think
that's
so.
fair.
You asked a question about the regulatory sort of posture. Look, this gets into sort of difficult territory to talk about.
Fair.
Here's what I'd say. Sundar, our CEO, has talked about Google being bold and responsible. Bold and responsible. He's repeated that phrase a lot, and we around the world do everything we can to protect consumer privacy, protect everyone's uh, operate in a way which actually is responsible and careful. And that's why, in some cases, we haven't rushed to market with certain products or done things, because we're actually being bold and responsible. I'll leave it there because I don't want to
That's
get
fair.
into more sort of complicated areas. There was a third question. I don't remember what it was though.
Nano Banana, Gemini.
Yeah.
There's a whole suite. To Barbara's point, there's a suite of
Oh,
things.
so
Customer value. How do we choose? How do you get in front of us and convince
Okay.
us that Gemini and Nano Banana is better than X, Y, and Z and all of these other things?
Yeah. So you also said, Americus, that you're kind of intimidated and scared by all this, and so I'm going to answer your question in a slightly roundabout way. I think, like Nike, you just have to do it, right? So you just have to do it. That means you need
I
to, and this is
agree.
true of everyone on this call who's listening to this. You need to dedicate an hour a day or an hour a week to just exploring in this space safely.
It's
In a
shocking
way
how fast you can learn doing that. It really
oh,
is, because the AI helps you learn.
it's unbelievable. So Google has a new music generation model called Lyria. I think it's Lyria 3 now. I hope I'm saying that name right. I'd be embarrassed if I didn't. But a couple of weekends ago, I spent some time with some friends. We were having drinks, and I pulled it up, and we ended up making rap songs and country music songs about the events that happened in our week. It was so
Wow.
fun. It was
That's fun.
we were giggling and having a great time. My kids started listening in as well because they were in the house. And I guess the point is I'm using AI in a very sophisticated way. But to me, it just feels like I'm just making some fun songs. It was just a great thing. So I think we can overthink somehow that we're not doing it enough, or when it's too hard. I will say, if you go onto Google, remember Google search? I do. If you go onto Google search and just look for Google AI Bytes, we have in Google, on YouTube and on various websites, Think with Google, a whole variety of training materials specifically designed for quote unquote regular people. Just
Interesting.
simple ways. And these are 3 to 7 minute video lessons. Each one ends with now you try it. And it talks you through how you do it and stuff. And
Interesting.
just do it. But just go to Google search and search Google AI Boost Bytes, and you will find these
Boost
little
Bytes.
video lessons.
Again, I agree with everything you're saying. It's incredible how fast you can learn, and you can feel way more creative and produce different outcomes the more you input or prompt your unique point of view, which I agree is very interesting. And like, if I think about what your business is, like Google search, you brought up Google search and the
Yep.
advertising model and the revenue and all the measurement you would have over search. How does all of that change when it's not a search engine anymore? It's like an AI engine. The questions I find myself typing really different questions into my into Google search, it puts me into the AI thing right away because of the
Yep.
nature of the questions. But how can you measure all of that? How does your business change?
So, um, I'll say very briefly, at the Google company-wide level, because I'm not super qualified to talk about it, but what I can say is there were more searches on Google last year than in any year in Google history, and we're
Oh,
expecting more searches this year. And
huh.
what's actually happened is AI has actually allowed a level of innovation in our core Google search product, AI mode, AI Max,
Yep.
AI mode,
Yep.
AI queries that has actually kind of transformed, and it's turned from what you might call queries into quests. Oh, I
Right.
saw a celebrity wearing a cool leather jacket. Instead of typing in Brad Pitt leather jacket and hoping you get lucky, you literally can type in Brad Pitt at the Oscars wearing this leather jacket with the half cut shape. And you can do these long quests, and it
Quests.
works and gets it. And it's actually incredibly powerful. So we are seeing higher engagement. We're seeing a lot of usage of both on YouTube and on Google Core Search by younger audiences in a way which is
Hmm.
really, really um, super exciting. From the marketing side, though, I just want to say the Google has more AI engineers, more AI patents, and more incentive to build high quality AI advertising solutions. So AI Max for search is one of them. Everything we're doing with creator tools on YouTube, everything we're doing on discovery.
Wow.
Every time we in Google Marketing turn on one of our AI products, Demand Gen, PMax, and beyond, it drives performance. It increases our effectiveness in the marketplace. Now, you can believe me or not, but as a marketer who spent a lot of money to the start of this conversation, we want performance. We want to drive business outcomes. We want to
Mhm.
drive growth for the company. We spend money across the entire ecosystem. We don't just spend money on Google's platforms. I can tell you that Google's AI solutions, powered by Gemini and all the AI technology we've got, are driving real business growth. That's really, really exciting. So it's transforming the business, and we're into this new era of excitement for both search, for YouTube, for Google's platforms overall, and I think for the marketing technology industry. We've always had this promise of the right message to the right person at the right time.
Mhm.
We're getting closer and closer to that, and that's great.
No, it really rings true with my own personal experience. I've never used search or those kind of things more because I can ask so many more interesting questions. It's not a query anymore. It's definitely a quest.
Love
And I
that.
can imagine how if you can monetize all of that in ways that are productive for me and for businesses, it is an incredible growth market for Google. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and let me just I'm sorry, Joshua, Barbara's gonna hate me for saying this, but I love this terminology you've presented for the following reasons. From query to quest. For me, Barbara, in my mind, I'm hearing that it's a journey and it's longer and extended and more thoughtful. And from what I'm hearing is that it's my opportunity to have more of my identity in this engagement with the tool
I didn't.
because it
How many
oh
minutes?
I know. This is a
Right. It
record. We're
is.
only we're 27 minutes in before I bring up identity. But I love that point, Joshua, because like literally you're unlocking my potential. And I'm gonna look at Gemini, I'm gonna look at this Google suite of tools, and I'm gonna see them as part of who I am in engaging with the world to be creative and to bring myself, my voice, my vision, whatever it is that I want to create to the world. That should result in incredible loyalty. Would you agree with that, or
It,
what's your
it
perspective?
Not only will it result in incredible loyalty, but it comes through utility. It comes from actually solving a problem, an issue that you have as a consumer of the world, or just a person. One of the things which I'm particularly excited about is when you sign up for Gemini, you can choose if you want to connect your YouTube, your Google Maps, your Gmail, or your Google products into Gemini. And so it truly starts getting to know you.
Oh,
So as
wow.
an example of this,
Oh, that's a
I
really interesting point.
I I was asking a question. I was on spring break last week. Went on vacation. We went to Canada, and I'd asked in Google search about. I asked in Gemini about some of the weather conditions, and it identified and said, "Look, you're going there, but you may not want to buy an expensive jacket because it's not going to be that cold. But if you do, there are three." Stores nearby you where you live, and there are three stores over where you're actually going to, which you can get to. And here are the opening
Wow.
times for them. Do you want to pop by on your way home from work? I can plot the route for you. And
Oh, it's
my mind
wild.
was blown because
Yeah,
it, a
Yeah.
customization. My dream in life is I love
that's
Batman.
incredible.
I've already mentioned Tony Stark, but I was like Alfred from Batman, this personal assistant who just, that's what I want from life. I'm never going to have a butler, but Gemini is starting to become
Love that.
personal assistant.
And that drives loyalty, right? Because
That's
the more
incredible.
information I put in one particular quest or whatever we're talking this, the more they're going to personalize the answers to what I've responded to before, and the much less likely I am to switch to another tool, because I don't want to start populating that other tool with all my history again. It already knows.
100%. 100%. And imagine Gemini reaching out to that store and finding a coupon for Barbara. I mean, there's all kinds of like, third, fourth order level stuff that could be really, this is Barbara's point originally, like customer value, opening up that spigot of just unbelievable utility, which then I think results in, for me, like becoming super loyal to the tool itself and to Google for that matter.
In 5 or 6 weeks, we have Google I/O followed by Google Marketing Live. Google I/O is sort of the wide stage where Sundar shows all our latest developments and technologies. Google Marketing Live is where we do the same, but for advertisers. There's going to be a lot of information about agentic shopping, agentic commerce, and how we can help your customers find your customers and convert them. Ultimately, though, and I said this sort of at the beginning, humans are humans. The fundamental core of what Google has been built on is start with the user, start with people, find the problem they have, solve it for them, and then everything else will follow. And that's what we're doing with Gemini. It's what we're doing with AI. Build something that people actually want to use and solves their problem, and then we'll worry about everything else after that. That's the focus.
Which is the customer value. Well, Joshua Spanier, it's like very fast, but the time is now up. So where can people go to find out about all the stuff you're talking about? Specifically, where can they go?
Okay, so I have 2 resources. I host a podcast myself called Frontier CMO, and I publish a weekly newsletter on LinkedIn. So just go on LinkedIn or go to YouTube and search for Frontier CMO, or search on any place you get podcasts. And then at thinkwithgoogle.com is our sort of collection of all our thought leadership around every aspect of the marketing business. So thinkwithgoogle.com, you can also get to Frontier CMO within that portal as well. But those 2 resources have an unbelievable wealth of free resource.
That's
great. AI.
That's incredible.
Thank you so much for joining us. That's all we have time for today. We'd like to thank our producers, Dion Simpkins and Marissa Renna. And thank you all for listening today. We'll be back soon. Till then, this has been Marketing Matters on the Wharton Podcast Network. I'm Barbara Kahn, here with Americus Reed.